Joaquin's blade never reached her. As it cut through the air towards Jihye's chest, something unseen surged outward from her body. The force was not violent, but it was absolute. A sphere of pressure burst from her center, rippling the air like a stone dropped into still water. Joaquin was thrown backward, his feet leaving the floor as he struck the far wall with a heavy thud. The blade clattered across the boards and skidded to a halt beneath the table. The room fell silent. Jihye stared at her own hands, trembling, breath shallow and fast. She had not moved. She had not willed it. And yet something within her had answered before thought ever formed. Joaquin groaned softly, then pushed himself upright, one hand braced against the wall as he caught his breath. He did not reach for his weapon. He did not look angry. He looked tired. Slowly, he met her gaze and nodded once. I think we are too late for that. Caleb stood frozen near the hearth, his face drained of color. Raphael had not moved at all. His eyes were fixed on Jihye with an intensity that bordered on reverence and dread in equal measure. The weight of it all crashed down on her at once. Jihye's knees buckled. She folded inward, clutching at herself as though she might hold the pieces together by force alone. A sound tore from her throat, sharp and broken, and then the tears came. Great racking sobs that left her gasping, her body shaking as weeks of fear, guilt, and exhaustion finally claimed their due. I do not want this, she cried. I do not want any of it. I never asked to be this. Caleb crossed the room in 2 strides and dropped to his knees beside her. He did not hesitate. He gathered her gently into his arms, murmuring soft reassurances that barely formed words. He rocked her slightly, the way one might soothe a child after a nightmare, his own eyes burning with tears he refused to let fall. It's all right, he said quietly. You're here. We've got you. You're not alone. She clutched at his shirt as though it was the only solid thing left in the world. It took a long while for the storm to pass. Eventually her breathing slowed. The sobs dwindled to quiet hiccups, then to nothing at all. When she finally pulled back, her face was blotched and red, her eyes dull with exhaustion. Caleb helped her to the bed, settling her against the pillows before taking a seat nearby, close enough to reach her if she needed him. The others drew chairs closer, the 4 of them forming a loose circle in the dim light of the room. Jihye wiped at her face and swallowed. What do we do? Raphael did not answer immediately. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, fingers laced together. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and thoughtful. There's no template for this, he said. No guide, no ritual written for what you are. But I believe we continue to the Lurines. Whatever truly happened when Alcanthus was sealed, the Lurines will know more than any book or scholar. They are old enough to remember the truth rather than myth. Joaquin nodded in agreement. My father may know something as well. The things he said to you were not idle words. I should send a message to him, a reliable one through elven channels. He needs to know urgency, and what he knows may decide more than just our fate. Raphael inclined his head. Do so as soon as you can, quietly. We cannot draw attention, not now. Jihye listened, then spoke again, her voice steadier but heavy with resolve. I want you all to research ways to kill me. The words fell like stones. Caleb's breath hitched sharply. No. If it comes to it, she continued, forcing herself to meet their eyes, I want to know that you will kill me rather than let me hurt people, even indirectly. Raphael closed his eyes briefly, then nodded. Joaquin did the same, his expression grim but resolute. Caleb could not speak. Tears spilled freely now, streaking his cheeks as he shook his head in helpless denial. The decision was made without ceremony. Joaquin sent his messenger at dawn, choosing a route and method that would draw as little notice as possible. They left Campbellworth shortly after, before word of a body torn apart in an alley could travel far enough to find them. The coastal road beyond the town was breathtaking. White cliffs dropped sharply to rolling blue water, the sea wind cool and constant against their faces. Wildflowers clung to the edges of the path, their colours bright against the pale stone. Gulls cried overhead, wheeling lazily in the open sky, and yet none of them relaxed. Every hawk that circled above set their nerves on edge. Every distant rider sent hands drifting closer to weapons. The openness of the road left them exposed, with nowhere to hide should eyes be watching. After several days of steady travel, the land rose gently inland, and the city of Peltoris came into view. It gleamed in the sun like a fallen star. The white city lived up to its name. Its buildings were carved from near pure marble, the stone so pale it reflected the light almost painfully at midday. Domes and columns rose in elegant harmony, and water flowed freely through carved channels that cooled the streets. It was beautiful, serene. Too serene. They booked rooms at a small but well-kept inn near the outer quarter, a place popular with pilgrims and travellers bound for the Lurines. Over supper they listened carefully for gossip, for rumours of violence, of a man torn apart. There was nothing. The town spoke of festivals, of travellers, of prayer. Joaquin noticed the hooded figure watching them from across the common room before Raphael did. He leaned close and murmured a warning. Raphael glanced briefly in the direction indicated and gave a subtle nod. Hooded figures were common in Peltoris. The city housed many religious sects, both open and discreet. Still, the intensity of the figure's attention unsettled them both. That night, once the others had gone to bed, Joaquin slipped quietly from the inn and doubled back. He followed the figure at a careful distance through the narrow streets until it reached a modest boarding house. The hooded figure knocked in a specific rhythm and was admitted without question. Joaquin circled the building, searching for a weak point. He found a small window, but the glass was thick and the voices inside were muffled beyond clarity. One word reached him. Arcanthus. Cold washed through his veins. He waited. When figures began to leave, he chose one to follow, memorizing the address it returned to before making his way back to the inn. When he returned, the others were asleep. There was nothing to be done yet. He decided the information could wait until morning. At dawn, he told them everything. Raphael listened in silence, then nodded once. I will pay this acolyte a visit. He found the address easily enough later that morning and knocked. A frightened young woman answered, her eyes wary and tired. Raphael smiled gently and introduced himself as a travelling pharmacist. He offered tinctures, remedies, and eventually, when he noticed her anxiety, help of another kind. She spoke of sleepless nights, of obligations. When she mentioned her faith, Raphael feigned pain, clutching at his head and hissing a single word, Arcanthus. She turned pale and fled, collapsing into a corner, shaking violently. "He is coming," she sobbed. "They have seen the Harbinger. It's not just dreams anymore. He is coming, and none of us will survive his retribution." Raphael knelt and extended a hand. "I know," he said with quiet certainty, "and I'm going to stop him." Something in his voice steadied her. She spoke then of the churches, of families who had guarded the faith for centuries, and of how further from the truth people grew, the easier it was to recruit them, of how each church watched for the herald. He asked if the message had been passed. It had not. That night would confirm it. Raphael thanked her, then wove a simple hypnotic spell to blur her memory. It would not erase everything, but it would muddy enough to protect them both. He left her house deep in thought, the weight of what lay ahead settling heavily on his shoulders. There truly was no template for this.